Part 96. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 951. Lu Ligan and the others returned to Hangzhou, and the entire design team of Jacques and his company had also arrived. Their first task was to do the landscape design of the second phase of Peach Blossom Spring. This job was relatively simple because of the overall style and tone. Everything has been determined in the first phase, and the second phase is just an expansion and extension. Just let the second phase and the first phase be perfectly connected together. The most important task for Jacques and others is to work with Jason and his team to come up with the overall plan for City in the Sky. The two teams have already cooperated twice in the Gentian River project and the first phase of Peach Blossom Spring. This is the third time. Relatively speaking, they already have a lot of tacit understanding. After traveling around Zhuge, Xinyi, and Tonkin, Jacques was basically convinced, and he firmly believed that the entire City in the Sky must be based on the concept of water. City in the Sky is a real estate project, and houses are important. When buying housing for people to live in, you must take into account the Chinese people's special and delicate emotion towards water. When Jacques and Jason took out the entire planning and design, Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan still felt that they were both expected and somewhat unexpected. There is a lake in the City in the Sky, a very big lake, but the lake is not in the center of the city, but in the northeast direction. Jacques and Lu Ligan Zhang Chen said that this is mainly due to the fact that the City in the Sky city and the mother city of Hangzhou will be developed in the future. If this satellite town wants to expand, it will definitely be to the northeast, which is the direction of Hangzhou. Including the future urban expansion of Hangzhou, its subway or urban light rail will radiate here. In this way, many municipal functions of the entire Sky City must be located close to this area in the northeast corner. After the lake moved to the northeast, it was no longer the leading river into the city, but the original Zitang River and one of its tributaries, which happened to pass through this lake. This lake completely connected the two original rivers. Drawing on the experience of Meisi River, the original Zitang River water still needs to be filtered at the entrance of Zitang River. The water source of the entire town, including this lake, besides Zitang River, there is another source that cannot be seen on the map. But Jacques told them that there must be a stream flowing from the mountain. Jacques opened his sketchbook and showed it to them. Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen saw that there was indeed a stream in his painting. Jacques said that he had visited the entire stream, and the amount of water in this stream was not that big. It is small, and even in the dry season in winter, the flow will not stop. We can make use of this stream, so that the entire city and the lake will have sufficient water. The lake is made into an irregular half-moon shape, and there is an island in the middle of the lake. The island is shaded by green trees. The library, primary school, and middle school of Sky City are on this island. The lake around the island is equivalent to becoming a natural barrier for schools and libraries. There is a tree-lined road connected to the city, because it is impossible to have trucks on the island. Parallel to this tree-lined road, there is a greenway connected to the greenway that goes around the island, which can be used for students to exercise. Use. Jacques told them that after he arrived in China, he found that Chinese people especially like to set up walls and build communities. Abroad, there is no concept of community. There is the concept of town, but it is on a street in a town. In front of everyone's door the lawns and gardens are also connected together, with few walls in between. Actually, it's just a matter of habit. Tan Shahan said, "Our peach blossom land has no walls, but no one who comes to buy a house will think there is anything wrong with it." Zhang Chen said with a smile, "That's now. People just regard your place as a scenic spot. If you look at it after you move in, there may be many people asking for a wall, or at least a fence." That's right, when Zhang Chen moves in, Lao Zhang will be the first to ask for a garden to be planted for him. Lu Ligan said with a smile, "I will separate the garden for him in his current splendid home. There is only one vegetable garden in the entire community. Maybe we still lack a sense of security." This concept is actually deeply ingrained. You have forgotten that when we study, a desk has to be divided into 3 and 8 lines. Zhang Chen said, when will we wait? Students don't draw the 38th line on their desks. If the wall in their hearts is gone, there will probably be fewer and fewer walls in reality. That's right. When you talk about walls, it's all philosophical, Lu Ligan shouted. Zhang Chen, Lao Tan, and Tan Shuhen laughed. Jacques didn't know what they were laughing about, but he knew that what they were talking about must have something to do with the wall. Jacques said that he respects this habit. People in every country and region have their own living habits. As designers, we must respect this habit and not try to change it. It is difficult to change this habit. It took a long time to form itself, and the reasons for its formation are also very complicated. We can only respect it. But he insists that walls are the ugliest things in cities. As a future city in the sky should have no walls. There is no fence, but we have to take into account the habit of residents and citizens who like to erect fences to separate communities. What should we do? He said that the cobweb-like roads in Xinyi and Zuch village gave him great inspiration. We can use water instead of walls, that is, use rivers all over the city to separate each community and different functional areas. Which not only avoids the appearance of walls, but also meets the needs of walls. On this island, there are no walls between primary schools and middle schools, and between them and the library. The children's activity space is expanded, but their safety is guaranteed because there is water to protect them. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan also think that Jacques' idea is good. Using water instead of walls can not only separate different areas, but also create landscapes on both sides of the river, creating the kind of shelter that makes people live near the water. The feeling of choosing water to rest. The idea of concentrating libraries and schools on the island is a wonderful one. It seems like there is no management, but it actually means better security management. In this way, it is equivalent to concentrating the security management of 3 units into 1 point. As long as you go to the island, it is enough to strengthen the management of intersections. Surrounding the half-moon-shaped lake is a circle of green belts and parks. Including the lake, the entire place is the urban garden of the city in the sky. Jacques said that it is also the leisure center of the city. The city has 2 centers. One side of the park transitions to a residential area. This residential area stretches from the lakeside park to the eastern edge of the Sky City. It is an area dominated by row houses and small high-rises. The other side of the park is urban roads. The park here is also open, making it convenient for residents on the other side of the road to walk and play by the lake. The half-moon-shaped arched part of the lakeside park, which is the northeast corner of the Sky City, is the functional area of the city, including hospitals, gymnasiums, police stations, and the management center of the Sky City and the connection center for regional transportation. It's all here. Opposite it, the recessed part of the half-moon shape, is an artificial wetland extending into the lake, as well as an artificial beach. The row behind it is a bar and dining area. To the southwest of the bar area is a street. Jacques proposed the concept of a pedestrian commercial street, which was almost unknown in China at that time. This pedestrian commercial street is about 300 meters long and is connected to what Jacques called the city in the sky, another center of the city square. Department stores and shopping malls are gathered around the city square. From here to the southwest edge of the Sky City, the entire area is an area of high-rise buildings. The city square is the commercial center of the Sky City and is connected to the Lakeside Leisure Center with a pedestrian street. With a population of 100,000, it can already form its own commercial center. Jacques and Zhang Chen Lu Ligan said, in fact, in Hangzhou, if you observe, in fact, every shopping mall has a limited radiation range. It won't take long for these shopping malls to develop their own chain networks in a city, otherwise their radiation capabilities will not be reached. Another favorable condition for the formation of the Sky City Commercial Center is that the nearby Liangzhou area, with its population of 30 to 40,000 people, cannot afford a large modern shopping mall. Our shopping here center, which can absorb a large part of their purchasing power and passenger flow. City in the Sky is close to the foot of the mountain. There is a sports area. The base of the mountain horse farm that Jacques mentioned is also built at the foot of the mountain. There is also a small playground and sports ground. All villas and a 5-star hotel are built on the mountain. There are 2 5-star hotels in Sky City. The one on the mountain is a resort hotel, and the other is a business-type 5-star hotel. On the edge of the city square. Jason, Zhangchen, and Lu Ligan said that according to Jacques' idea, the overall layout of City in the Sky is soft and pleasant, but all the architectural designs inside, we think must be modern and futuristic. It is different from all the current areas in Hangzhou, giving people a refreshing feeling that this is the future of Hangzhou. All road construction, municipal facilities, and transportation construction in the city must be forward-looking. Jacques added that water is everywhere in the city. When you come out of every building, you can immediately see the river and find places to rest by the river. Water is the soul of the city, but this is not a water city. It's not a water town either. It can also be said to be a water town, a modern water town, Jason added with a smile. Zhangchen particularly agreed with this point. What he was most worried about was that this City in the Sky should not become a different person. It will take at least 5 years from now until the City in the Sky is basically completed. This is a future city for future people to live in. Of course, you must be forward-looking and futuristic, not like a city in Hangzhou. A newly built community, or a replica of a certain district in Hangzhou. If Liangzhou next door plays the historical card, here they must play the modern and future card. Who said that there cannot be a modern and futuristic small town among the mountains and rivers of Jiangnan? Zhangchen even thought that there should be an industrial functional area to take over those future industries. Thank you for the reward for being ranked third from top to bottom, and I don't even know if anyone asks me. Thank you for your monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you a nice weekend. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 952. Zhangchen left Lu Ligan and the others. While he was still on the way, Xiao Zhao called him and told him, Xiao Wan is waiting for you at the company with a VIP client. When will you come back? Zhangchen said I was on my way back and would be there soon. After hanging up the phone, Zhangchen was thinking, why are VIP customers so important that Xiao Wan brings them to the company and wants to meet them in person? Zhangchen drove to the parking lot downstairs in the dynamic zone and saw a red Ferrari parked in the parking area inside their company, with many people surrounding it. Zhangchen got out of the car. The security guard told Zhangchen that this belonged to a female client brought by Xiao Wan. Zhangchen looked at the red Ferrari and his heart moved. He thought of someone. Could it be that this person coming is Huang Mei? Zhangchen hurried upstairs and saw that his office door was open. Zhangchen hurried over and walked over. He was a little disappointed. He saw Xiao Zhao and Xiao Wan in his office, and there was a woman, but it was not Huang Mei. But a lady in her 30s, wearing clothes from their half-acre field, one of the countless samples of clothes she made. This is probably the guy driving the red Ferrari. Seeing Zhangchen back, the 3 people inside all stood up. Zhangchen didn't recognize her, but the woman obviously knew Zhangchen. She smiled and nodded towards Zhangchen. This woman has a round face, short hair, and is about 1.6 meters tall. She has a somewhat plump figure, but not to the point of being fat. She is not pretty, but her facial features are quite attractive. Xiao Wan introduced them that this is Mr. Shentu and this is Mr. Zhang. I know, Mr. Zhang is famous. I have seen many photos. Mr. Shentu smiled, stretched out his hand, and said to Zhangchen, my name is Shentu Hanjian. Zhangchen quickly shook hands with her and said, Shentu is the best. After everyone sat down again, Xiaowan and Zhang Chen said that Shentu was always in the business and she was an old customer of ours in Yuwu. She came today and had a special request. I couldn't make the decision, so I just brought her here. Meet Mr. Zhang. Zhang Chen said, "Thank you, Mr. Shentu, for taking care of me. If anything happens, please let me know." Shentu Hanjian looked at Xiao Zhao and Xiao Wan and blushed slightly. She said, "Mr. Zhang, I'm not polite. If there's anything that offends you, please don't mind." Zhang Chen quickly said no, thinking, just by saying these few words when they met, he knew that the other person was a very well-spoken person, how could he be offended? Shentu Hanjian said, "Mr. Zhang is in business, and I am also in business. Mr. Zhang must be able to understand the hard work we have to do in business. Every day, I am either in the factory or in the company. I am so busy that I want to share for two people, there is no time to learn how to dress." When Shentu Hanjian said this, she waved her hand in front of her face as if to drive away something, and shouted, "Hey, if you stop telling lies, you won't be able to learn." Zhang Chen said with a smile, "Shentu is always a strong woman, so she will definitely be concerned about one thing and not the other at times." No, Shentu Hanjian said, "No, I really don't. I don't understand." "Hey, if you don't understand, you just don't understand. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I just don't have that talent. I've been like this since I was a child. When I was studying, the other girls are all dressed up beautifully, but I am the ugliest. My family is not poor, and I have as many new clothes as others, but I just don't know how to wear them, and I look like a mailbox every day." As Shentu Hanjian said this, she laughed. Zhang Chen and the three of them also laughed. Zhang Chen remembered that when they were studying, they described a female classmate as having a bad figure or wearing ugly clothes. She really called them a mailbox. The top and bottom of the mailbox are the same thickness, and wherever they are erected on the roadside, they are all ugly dark green. Zhang Chen looked at Shentu Hanjian and felt that this woman had a straightforward personality, but she also had a temper similar to his own, and he immediately had a good impression of her. "It's the same now. I still don't know how to wear them. I used to only buy Ports, Yves Saint Laurent, and Dior. I would buy them in sets, and I would buy a lot of them. I thought, isn't it a famous brand? It's always better. As a result, when I put it on, it still looked like a mailbox. There was nothing I could do about it. I felt that when I bought it, I was deceived by the salespersons in the specialty stores. Then I met Zhen. You guys are doing some kind of VIP here, so I joined right away. Zhen helped me with reference and picked some. When I put them on, people said I looked good. I looked in the mirror. It doesn't look like a mailbox anymore. Really, Mr. Zhang, don't laugh. Zhen told me that these were all designed by you." Zhang Chen nodded. "I also know that many celebrities' clothes are designed by you, Mr. Zhang, and I don't dare to compare with them. But Mr. Zhang, you also know that people like us have to meet customers every day, and many of them are foreigners. Going to such and such meetings is a matter of publicity. Our demand for clothing is actually no less than that of those celebrities, but we are not as good looking as them. Yesterday, I was going to the city for a meeting. I was looking around at home, choosing what to wear, and I didn't know what to wear, so I asked my husband to help me with advice. As a result, I wore 3 things that my husband said looked good. They are all from your place, so I said, any international brand is better than the one from half an acre of field. Guess what my husband said?" Shentu Hanjian asked. Zhang Chen and the other 3 shook their heads. Who could guess this? Shentu Hanjian said with a smile, "My husband is really smart. He told me, I see it is so difficult for you to choose clothes every time you wear them. This half acre of land is so beautiful, so why don't you contract your clothes to them, that's it." And I thought, yeah, Why can't I do that? So I ran over here. After Shentu Hanjian finished speaking, she looked at Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen still didn't understand what this contract meant. Isn't it just that he likes our clothes? Just buy them if you like them. Zhang Chen asked, Mr. Shentu, what do you mean? Contract the clothes to you, Shentu Hanjian shouted. Zhang Chen still didn't understand. This contract means. Xiao Wan quickly explained, that's right, Mr. Zhang and Mr. Shentu mean that from now on, we will match her clothes. We will match her clothes every day and on any occasion. In this way, we will match her clothes, she shouldn't have to worry about it herself. Yes, yes, that's what Xiao Wan said. Mr. Zhang Shentu Hanjian said, I will give you 1 million every year. You have to help me figure out what clothes I wear. Mr. Zhang, don't I? If I want you to design it, I know that I will ask you to design it specifically. The money is far from enough. Others can design it. Mr. Zhang, just help me check it. Zhen Zhen said, you are very good. Zhang Chen understood and said, what Mr. Shentu means is that our company will be your clothing consultant. Oh, Mr. Zhang, this is a good word, clothing consultant, that's it? Consultant, the consultant will arrange for me what to wear, okay. Zhang Chen thought for a while, and he felt that this was a new business. However, Lu Ligan and others sold villas that could be customized according to the needs of customers. They are known as the most considerate houses. Why can't we do the same with clothing? The clothing itself should be the most considerate, and it should be okay. Zhang Chen and Shentu Hanjian said, yes, but I need to tell Mr. Shentu the ugly things first. Since we are consultants, many times we may not be the same as when you were our clients. We will only treat you. I am responsible for your beauty and will not be responsible for your mood. Many times, my words may be very direct. Okay, okay, as long as it makes me beautiful. When I am beautiful, my mood will naturally get better. I am responsible for myself, Shentu Hanjian said quickly. Zhang Chen said yes, also, this costume is more than just clothing. What else do you need? Clothes also need to be matched, such as jewelry, bags, shoes. Shentu Hanjian couldn't wait to shout, okay, okay, these, I will buy whatever you tell me to buy, and I will wear whatever you tell me to wear. Zhang Chen smiled and said, there are also makeup and hairstyles. He looked at Shentu Hanjian and said, for example, your hair, I need you to grow it now and make it long. Ah, you want to grow your hair long? I have had short hair since I was a child, and people say I am a tomboy. Shentu Hanjian looked at Zhang Chen and immediately said, okay, I will listen to Mr. Zhang. Zhang Chen said, because your face is relatively round and your hair is long, if you cover it up and cover part of your cheeks, the effect will be different. Shentu Hanjian laughed when she thought about how she looked with long hair. She said, with long hair, that's what makes me a lady. My personality. Zhang Chen waved his hand and said with a smile. In this way, Mr. Shentu, you take a photo of your current appearance, and then I will buy you a wig. When your hair grows longer, you can take off the wig and I will give you a wig first. Set up a plan, follow my plan, do it for 3 days, then look at your current photos, and tell me whether you would like to go back to where you are today. Shentu Hanjian said, okay, Mr. Zhang, I believe you. So many stars have come to see you. Your words must be right. Come on, what agreement should we sign? I'll hand over the money and we'll start right away. Zhang Chen smiled and said, don't rush, don't rush. I'll give it a try for a week. If you think I'm qualified, we'll sign the agreement. How embarrassing is that? Shentu Hanjian asked. Zhang Chen said, this is the new business you brought to us, which helped me expand my ideas. I also want to thank you. You are the first customer of our new business. Of course I will give you a discount. Shentu Hanjian looked at Xiao Zhao, couldn't help but hit her, and said nonchalantly, "Your husband is so kind, you got a bargain." The other three people all laughed, and Xiao Zhao quickly said, "Thank you, Sister Hanjian." Zhang Chen called Ji Ling over and asked her to take Shentu Hanjian to the design center to help her measure. He told her to measure her body carefully and take all measurements, including head circumference, foot circumference, and leg circumference, weight and so on. Zhang Chen asked Shentu Hanjian, "Mr. Shentu, do you mind?" Shentu Hanjian said, "I don't mind. The more detailed it is, the more serious you are." Shentu Hanjian pulled Xiao Wan and asked her to accompany her. After they went out, Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao said that there might be a lot of people like this, and this might really be our new business. Xiao Zhao nodded. "Go and get Wen Wen's agreement, and I'll see how to change it," Zhang Chen said to Xiao Zhao, and Xiao Zhao agreed. After Xiao Zhao walked out, Zhang Chen began to write down Shentu Hanjian's first set of plans, including what clothes, shoes, accessories, etc. she needed. If she had it, she could cross it out. If she didn't, she would need to match it for her, including so are the clothes. He also needs to know what activities she will have in the past week and who she will meet. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 953. Many of the clothes, shoes, and accessories on the list Zhang Chen wrote for Shentu Hanjian were in Shentu Hanjian's home. Zhang Chen crossed out all the clothes, shoes, and accessories that were present, and arranged for the purchase or production of those that were not available. Shentu Hanjian said, "Either buy everything again according to your list, shoes and accessories, and calculate the extra money." Zhang Chen said there was no need and there was no need to be so wasteful. Shentu Hanjian didn't believe it. She said, "I have worn all these at home, and they don't look good at all." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "If you take everyone's facial features apart, can you tell which one is good looking and which one is not? But when you put them together, you can tell them. Also, for example, if the average person's cheekbones are very high, isn't it ugly? But why do they look so good when they see Maggie Chung and Chung Chahong's faces?" Shentu Hanjian was stunned for a moment and asked, "Yes, why?" Clothing needs to be matched, so it is called clothing, because clothing alone is not enough. The clothes themselves need to be matched, and the clothes and accessories also need to be matched. When primitive people used animal skins to wrap their buttocks, they knew that hanging something around their necks would look good. Different combinations of clothing will produce different effects, so people who know how to wear clothes and match them rarely buy suits, Zhang Chen said. Shentu Hanjian nodded and said, "Okay, you are an expert and a consultant. I will listen to the consultant." They agreed that Shentu Hanjian would come over the day after tomorrow to pick up the things Zhang Chen purchased and made for her. Shentu Hanjian felt uneasy. She said, "When I come, I'd better bring these items that I crossed off your list to see if I made a mistake. If so, I'd better buy them again." Zhang Chen smiled in his heart. What he wrote were all simple things, such as a beige long-sleeved shirt and red high heels. How could these be wrong? He knew that Shentu Hanjian was probably very nervous right now, so he said, "Okay. Then you can bring it." After Shentu Hanjian left, Zhang Chen called Ji Ling over. He knows that the design center's tasks are not very tight now, because the basic styles of spring and summer clothing have been finalized, and it is still too early for autumn clothing. All that needs to be done now is to add some new styles every now and then. Zhang Chen wanted to try Ji Ling, and told her about Shentu Hanjian's needs. Zhang Chen said, "This may be our new business. If it expands, we can organize a team under your design center to provide customers with as consultants. This team should not only include clothing designers, but also hairstylists, makeup artists, etc. to provide them with a full range of services. Ji Ling nodded and said yes. Zhang Chen gave Shen Tu Hanjian's schedule for the week to Ji Ling and told her that you could try giving her a dressing plan for the week. Ji Ling hesitated and said, "Master, I have never done this before." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Why haven't you done this before? Isn't this what you are best at?" Ji Ling was confused and asked, "When will I become good at it?" In this way, you imagine Shen Tu Hanjian as a character in Swamili's novel, and her daily activities are regarded as the plot in the novel. Tell me, are you very good at it? In this way, Ji Ling was indeed good at it. However, Ji Ling thought that the image of the protagonist in her mind would never be like Shen Tu Hanjian, but always like Xiao Zhao and Tan Shahen. However, Ji Ling did not dare to say this to Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen and Ji Ling said that I had given her a plan. "Master, can you show it to me?" Ji Ling asked. Zhang Chen shook his head and said, "You can also create one, and then we will compare it, one from the perspective of the opposite sex, and the other from the perspective of the same sex, to see what the difference is." Ji Ling knew that Zhang Chen was trying to teach her something, so she agreed. Ji Ling returned to the design center and after discussing with other designers, she wrote a plan. After they saw it, they thought it was perfect. Some designers said that this time they could defeat their ancestors. The designers in the design center like to call him Master Ji Ling, Master He Hungmei, and Zhang Chen. They all call him Ancestor. I don't know who called him first. Anyway, if someone calls him, the others will follow immediately. After calling, only Ji Ling still called Master Zhang Chen in a decent manner. Ji Ling took the plan and walked into Zhang Chen's office. Several designers couldn't help themselves and followed Ji Ling. Ji Ling gave Zhang Chen the plan and told him, "This is what we do together made." Zhang Chen took the plan and asked them all to sit on the sofa. After carefully looking at Ji Ling's plan, he picked up his own plan on the table and handed it to Ji Ling. A group of people gathered around and watched, and the more they watched, the colder their hearts became. Designers have very strong image thinking skills, and they have pictures in their brains. Everyone has seen Shen Tu Hanjian herself before. At this time, looking at Zhang Chen's plan, the effect of Shen Tu Hanjian wearing this set of clothes appeared in his mind. Afterwards, everyone was discouraged. They looked at each other. Ji Ling sighed and said, "Master, your plan is better than ours." A designer asked, "Ancestor, why does your plan B match so well? This is a bit unexpected." Just as Zhang Chen was about to say something, Ji Ling shouted, "Master, wait a minute." She said to a designer, "Go and call the other people in the design center." The designer ran out, and after a while, a large group of people followed her in. Those who came in behind looked at Zhang Chen's plan. Ji Ling asked, "Master, is this a gender difference? Is that what you said, you are from a male perspective and we are from a female perspective?" "A little bit, but not entirely," Zhang Chen said. "Your plan is not wrong. If we follow your plan, Shen Tu Hanjian will look very comfortable, using our idiom." "My plan." "Amazing, Ancestor," someone shouted, and others nodded. Zhang Chen smiled, looked at Ji Ling and asked, "Okay, let's use this word for now." "Then why do you think there is such a big difference?" Ji Ling shook her head and thought, how could she know this? If she knew, she would be able to become a master. Master is the best at it, and it is unmatched by others. In He Hungmei's words, he has a unique vision, and he can always make people wear his clothes. Miss Gong is stunning in Cannes when she wears it, and other celebrities are stunning in various film festivals and conferences when wearing it. Zhang Chen touched his hands on the table, thinking, and said slowly, "When you were making this plan, you had the biggest misunderstanding, because you have all seen Shen Tu Hanjian, and you have the impression of this person in your mind. When you are designing, You are thinking about what is suitable for her, and you are matching her clothes, right? Ji Ling and the others nodded. This is a misunderstanding, Zhang Chen said. If the clothes are only suitable for her and based on her as a person, in fact, as long as the person has a certain aesthetic ability, she can do it herself. This is not enough for us designers. When we design our products, we make things out of nothing, that is, we don't know who will wear our clothes. In fact, our focus is on the clothes themselves. We design the clothes and then countless people try them on and wear them. If we find good-looking people, we will buy them. This process is actually our clothes selecting people. The so-called popular models are products that more people look good on and will buy. This is also the wearability we have always emphasized when designing products, which is to try our best to make it look good on as many people as possible. This actually involves sacrifice. What has been sacrificed? That is the sacrifice of personality. The more you focus on wearability, the more you sacrifice the personality of this garment. The more personalized the garment, the fewer people who can wear it and will buy it. So when designing the product, we kept our style but tried hard to avoid elements that were too personal, and you did a great job. But when it comes to Shentuhanjian, why doesn't it work? Because you ignore that this is a private customization, which means it's the other way around. It's not the clothes that are choosing the customer, but the customer is already here. It's this person, her, picking out clothes. She doesn't know how to choose. You are helping her choose. When you are helping her choose, you all choose the one that is most suitable for her, but you are fundamentally wrong. You also forget that the reason why she came to us is because of one word. What word, Master? Ji Ling couldn't hold back anymore and asked impatiently. Change, Zhang Chen said. She came to us not to keep her original appearance, so we don't need to choose the one that suits her. What she needs is change, a complete change. Let us turn her into a new person she doesn't even know. Otherwise, why would she come to us? Just ask her husband to look at it and her best friend to look at it and give her opinions. What she needs is something that none of these people can do. Remember, similar customers in the future will all have the same needs, and they will all ask for change. That's amazing, ancestor, it's really like this. I've learned a lot, a designer shouted. Ji Ling nodded thoughtfully and asked, Master, you are right, but Master, how can we meet their request? Observe her, Zhang Chen said. Rotten has a saying that has been said badly, beauty is everywhere. For our eyes, it is not a lack of beauty, but a lack of discovery. But this sentence is very reasonable. Is a classic. What we need is to discover, from them, discover their strengths, discover things that others cannot discover, and use their strengths to avoid their weaknesses. Zhang Chen saw that Ji Ling and the others were still a little confused and said with a smile, let me ask you a question, how many of you have a good impression of Shentuhanjian? 4 or 5 people raised their hands. Zhang Chen asked those who didn't raise their hands, why didn't you? The man said, I have never been in contact with her, so I have no feelings. Zhang Chen nodded and asked again, the people she had come into contact with were the ones who raised their hands, right? Those people all nodded. Zhang Chen said, did you see, this is her strength, she is not pretty, she didn't give you gifts, she didn't say she wanted to treat you to dinner, she is just a casual acquaintance with you, why do you all have a good impression of her? This is her strength and the reason why her business can be so big. Think about it again, why do you have a good impression of her? Those people thought for a while, and someone said, she has a very straightforward personality. The others nodded. You are right, she has a very straightforward personality, Zhang Chen said, but what does her straightforward personality have to do with wearing clothes? Everyone was stunned, and someone said, Ancestor, please teach us all the skills of housekeeping. Everyone laughed, and Zhang Chen also laughed. Zhang Chen said, have you noticed that although Shentuhanjian is not very beautiful, her facial features are still attractive? For such a person, as long as she modifies it slightly, the effect will be different. She also has a shortcoming of a round face, but her biggest advantage is that she has a strong aura. Do you feel that? As soon as Zhang Chen said this, Ji Ling and several others remembered and nodded. Where does this aura come from? That's this person. When he walks, he is very upright. That is to say, as the old saying goes, he has a standing posture and a sitting posture. Such a person can do it with almost no training. On the catwalk, Zhang Chen looked at them and said, as for my plan A, she is going to attend the large taxpayer commendation ceremony and go on stage to receive the award. Think about it, I asked her to change her hair to long hair, wear those clothes, and her feet are what would happen if a pair of red high-heeled shoes walked onto the stage from the auditorium below under the attention of everyone. I'll go. Brighten your eyes, someone shouted. Thank you to Dal Tin Soldier and RIRI Shushu for the reward. Thank you Shifang Xian, Yu, and Qianbo for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Happy Saturday everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 954. Shentu Hanjian came with her things, and Zhang Chen also prepared everything for her. Zhang Chen asked Ji Ling to take her into the bathroom of his office, where she changed her clothes, wig, shoes, and bag. The lipstick also changed color. 20 minutes later, Ji Ling came out, but Shentu Hanjian did not come out. Zhang Chen, Xiao Zhao, and the designers watching the excitement outside were all surprised. Looking at Ji Ling shook her head and told them that she refused to come out. Zhang Chen looked at the closed door behind Ji Ling and asked, "Is it ugly?" Ji Ling smiled and shook her head and told him, "No, she was very beautiful. She even cried in front of the mirror and was touching up her makeup." Zhang Chen breathed a sigh of relief. Ji Ling walked back to the bathroom. People outside were waiting expectantly. After a while, Ji Ling came out alone. She looked at them and shook her head. "It hasn't been repaired yet," Zhang Chen asked. Ji Ling looked behind her and whispered, "It's been repaired, but it just won't come out." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Then you can't always stay in the bathroom, right?" Xiao Zhao smiled and said, "I will call her." Xiao Zhao walked into the bathroom. After a while, the door of the bathroom opened. The people outside exclaimed wow and then clapped their hands. They saw a slim and fashionable girl with a blushing face and a little at a loss. She stood at the door of the bathroom, with Xiao Zhao laughing and pushing her out. Shentu Hanjian came out, she seemed much younger. She looked at Zhang Chen pitifully and was about to cry again. Zhang Chen asked her, "Why, you don't like it?" Shentu Hanjian quickly shook her head. Zhang Chen waved his hand and asked the designers to go back to the design center first. Only the four of them were left in the office. Shentu Hanjian breathed a long sigh of relief and said to Zhang Chen, "Ever since I was in junior high school, I have always wanted to be like this image, and I have always dreamed of it, instead of that tomboy, that mailbox," Zhang Chen asked. "Yes, but I feel that all this is just my imagination. I didn't expect that one day, such a situation would really happen to me." "Thank you, Mr. Zhang." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Be more confident. You have a good foundation. I'm just bringing out your strengths. You are still you. This has not changed. You should be so beautiful. There is nothing to be ashamed of. Yes, this is the real you, just walk boldly in front of others and show it to others." Shentu Hanjian nodded. Zhang Chen asked Ji Ling and others to help Shentu Hanjian get everything into the car. Shentu Hanjian stood there and took a deep breath, like an athlete standing on the track. She said to Zhang Chen, "Thank you, Mr. Zhang. You are right. There is nothing to be ashamed of being beautiful. Don't we all pursue beauty? I'm just not used to being so beautiful." Zhang Chen said, you will get used to it soon. Okay, let's go. I will get used to my beauty from now on. Zhentu Hanjian nodded and said. Zhang Chen said yes, no matter what time, you have to remember that you are a beautiful woman. Xiao Zhao sent Zhentu Hanjian downstairs. Before Xiao Zhao could return upstairs, Zhang Chen's phone rang. As soon as he answered the phone, Zhentu Hanjian laughed inside. Haha, Mr. Zhang, let me tell you, the security guard downstairs didn't recognize me just now. Xiao Zhao sent me to the car. He was still strange and asked Xiao Zhao, didn't this car belong to another guest? Haha. Before Zhang Chen had time to speak, Zhentu Hanjian shouted goodbye to Mr. Zhang and hung up the phone. Zhang Chen smiled and shook his head. After a while, Zhang Chen's big brother rang again, and it was Zhentu Hanjian again. She shouted, Mr. Zhang, I'm here with Xiao Wan, haha, even Xiao Wan doesn't recognize me anymore, Mr. Zhang, bye. Zhang Chen hung up the phone and looked at Xiao Zhao and Ji Yiling in the office. They both laughed. Xiao Zhao asked, Zhentu Hanjian? Zhang Chen nodded and Xiao Zhao smiled and said, I can hear her laughter from so far away. Ji Yiling said, if it were me, I would be so happy. Xiao Zhao joked, then let your master help you come up with a plan. Ji Yiling quickly said, no, I'm afraid it will distract you. Zhang Chen said with a smile, Ji Yiling, when you get married, I will do it myself to ensure that your husband will not recognize you and think that you married the wrong person. Ji Yiling stuck out her tongue and said, then he doesn't want to return the goods the next day? Everyone laughed. A few hours later, Zhentu Hanjian called Zhang Chen again and said to him, haha, Mr. Zhang, I'm back at the company. No one in our company recognizes me anymore. That one. My husband is so annoyed that he clings to me wherever I go, ha 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 ha, goodbye, Mr. Zhang. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao said, what's the matter? Zhentu Hanjian called me 3 times, but I didn't get to say a word. Xiao Zhao is laughing, she just wants to share her happiness with you. Zhang Chen said okay, then I will be her happy recycling bin. Xiao Zhao looked outside the door and came over, giggling. What about me? Don't you want your wife to change too? My wife doesn't need to change, Zhang Chen said with a smile, she is already very beautiful. Adding anything more to her appearance will be a failure. Xiao Zhao snorted, put his hands behind his back, bumped him affectionately with his body, and walked out. In the evening of the next day, Zhentu Hanjian called Zhang Chen. As soon as the call came through, she sighed deeply on the phone. Zhang Chen was startled and asked quickly, Mr. Zhentu, what's wrong with you? Zhentu Hanjian sighed on the phone and said, Mr. Zhang, I didn't expect that being a beautiful woman can be so tiring. Those people come over to say hello to you and say a few more words. It's hard not to tell them, those leaders will shake your hand a little longer, and those customers will sit still for a while even though everything has been discussed. Zhang Chen smiled and said, this is normal, everyone has the love for beauty. I know, Mr. Zhang, I just feel more tired than usual. I have talked too much this day. I am in the office now and I don't want to move. Zhang Chen joked, that can change you back to your original appearance. No, Zhentu Hanjian shouted, I'm just a little tired, but it's better to be like this. Mr. Zhang, when I think about my old self now, it feels like it was before liberation. Zhang Chen laughed. Mr. Zhang, by the way, can you prepare the agreement tomorrow? I'll come over to sign the agreement. Zhang Chen said, the agreement is not urgent. Didn't we agree to try it out for a week first? No need to try, Mr. Zhang, I believe you, Zhentu Hanjian said, you don't know, my husband is so annoying and anxious. He is even more anxious than me. He has been urging me since we got here this morning. I went to sign the agreement and have been rambling all day. Zhang Chen laughed. Shentu Hanjian lowered her voice and said to Zhang Chen, "This lunatic made me wear a wig when I went to bed last night. He said he liked to see my long hair. How can I bear it? Don't be suffocated to death." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Tell him that if you persist for 2 months, all he will see every day is you with long hair." Shentu Hanjian smiled and said, "Okay, Mr. Zhang, wait for me tomorrow." By Mr. Zhang. The next day, Shentu Hanjian came to Zhang Chen's office, and her husband also accompanied her. Her husband looked very young, probably only in his mid-20s, and he looked very energetic, just like the original Shentu Hong. When Yan walked together, they didn't seem to be a good match. People who didn't know better would think that they were an old wife and young husband, or even think that he was Shentu Hanjian's pretty boy. But they were actually classmates in junior high school. After graduating from junior high school, neither of them went to school anymore. They set up a stall together in Yuwu's small commodity market and gradually expanded the business. Shentu Hanjian and Zhang Chen Xiaozhao said, "My husband loves me very much. I added, am even more doted on now." Her husband was laughing beside her, and Shentu Hanjian said, "Do you admit it or not? When I came out today, they wouldn't even let me drive the car, saying that I still look better in high heels. I'm crazy. Who should I show to when I'm wearing high heels in the car?" Her husband continued to laugh and even blushed. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "I can see that you two have a very good relationship as husband and wife. I wish you all the best." Shentu Hanjian said, "I can see that you and Xiao Zhao have a very good relationship. Mr. Zhang, let me tell you, I just like to do business with a family and beautiful people. Really, just looking at it makes people feel comfortable." They signed an agreement. The main content of the agreement was that Zhang Chen and the others would serve as Shentu Hanjian's fashion consultants. Shentu Hanjian would pay them 1 million yuan per year, and Zhang Chen and the others would provide a certain amount of basic clothing for free every season. We also provide year-round fashion consulting services. If the clothing Shentu Hanjian needs exceeds the basic style provided by Zhang Chen and others, she will have to pay for it separately. If Zhang Chen is required to design a dress specifically for attending a major event, the design fee will be calculated separately, but Zhang Chen and others will charge a discount. After sending the two of them out, Zhang Chen was very pleased to see them holding hands and loving each other. He felt that these two people would look so well matched when they went out now. Others would never have that much love. Misunderstood. After the success of the Shentu Hanjian case, Xiao Wan actively recommended this matter to their VIP customers. Unexpectedly, the results were quickly achieved. More than 20 VIPs became their customers for private customization services. The fees ranged from 800,000 to 2 million. Shentu Hanjian also introduced them to 5 or 6 business clients in Yuwu. Zhang Chen and the others immediately set up a team in the design center specifically responsible for private customization to master all kinds of information about customers and track their itineraries. In addition to designers, the team also has beauticians and makeup artists, as well as application specialists. As customers' requests increase, she becomes a buyer. She is responsible for traveling to Hong Kong and around the world to help them purchase various clothing and cosmetics. After this business was actually started, it was beyond Zhang Chen's expectation. Only then did he truly feel that from the country's earliest implementation of the household responsibility system, to encouraging some people to get rich first, and encouraging households with 10,000 yuan to now, the reform opening up has only been carried out for more than 10 years. In fact, the number of people in this society who have become wealthy is much more than he imagined. Moreover, he also felt that women were really cruel to him for the sake of beauty. Thank you for the tip that ranks third from top to bottom. Thank you for your monthly vote from the Humor Tribe. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all a happy life. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 955. Lao Ni bought the piece of land in Shaoxing. More than a week later, someone came to him and asked Lao Ni to buy it for 380,000 acres. Of course Lao Ni did not agree. Having been in the business field for such a long time, Lao Ni looks naive, but in his heart, he has long been an old turtle. He knows that everything is bought up and not down. You want to buy my land with 380,000 acres? Land, that means the market here is bullish. How can I sell you something that is bullish? The land was not sold, but Lao Ni did the math and was shocked. If he sells the land now at the price of 380,000 acres, he can earn more than 6 million. It has only been more than a week. Time, what kind of business is so profitable? In a factory as big as his, with thousands of workers working hard for a month, they still can't make more than 6 million. No wonder Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen were able to earn so much money in just a few years. The business has become so big. He knew that Zhang Chen spent almost nothing to acquire the land in the dynamic zone. The city government forced it on him at the time. Now, the annual rent can earn 50 to 60 million yuan, and it will increase this year. Lu is next to him. The standing center of Hangzhou has become the core of Hangzhou's core in the blink of an eye. How can the rent not rise? Lu Ligan is even more remarkable. When Zhang Chen was there to help him make sand table models, Lu Ligan was all in Hainan and had not returned to Hangzhou yet. I heard that he was in Hainan and lost everything. After returning to Hangzhou, in just a few years, he became the largest real estate developer in Hangzhou and planned to build the tallest house in Hangzhou. After thinking about how these two people made money, Lao Ni felt that they could not do without the word land. After buying this land, Lao Ni realized that there was so much oil and water in this land. It turns out that the seemingly inconspicuous land is the most valuable thing. Only by relying on the land can people make a fortune quickly. After thinking about it like this, Lao Ni, an old man who claimed to be from the countryside, felt unbalanced in his heart. He felt that the path he had taken in the past 10 years was too bad. It was really too bad for him to work in a factory. His factory is exactly like what he said. The stalls are very large and the scene looks very nice, but in fact it doesn't make much money. Enterprises like theirs invest heavily in infrastructure and equipment, and they also spend a lot of money to purchase raw materials. They all rely on for bank loans. After a year, most of them are actually working for the bank, and the money is used to pay bank interest. For such a big scene, if you really do the math, it actually all belongs to the bank. Whether it is land or factory buildings, they are all mortgaged with the bank. It doesn't take much. He only needs to stop for a month. Once the bank takes action, the factory belongs to the bank. He himself just get out with your butt naked. What troubles him the most is the price increase of raw materials. Crude oil has been rising in the past few years. When crude oil rises, PX in South Korea and Taiwan rises. When PX rises, domestic PDA also rises. He has to earn 20,000 PDA at a time. The purchase price is higher than the previous purchase price. Every time it goes up by 1,200 tons, every time it goes up, he has to pay millions more. But the fabrics in the Qiqiao market are not going up, and all the fabrics in the country are not going up. If the fabrics are not going up, the polyester yarn produced by Lao Ni and the others cannot go up. Sometimes when I look at the polyester yarn in the warehouse, Lao Ni does the math. Considering the current price of PDA, he might as well not produce polyester yarn, just put PDA directly, and sell the raw materials now, which is more cost-effective than selling the finished product. But Lao Ni knew that he couldn't do this. If you stopped production, what would you do with so many workers in the factory? You have to keep these workers there even if you support them. Sometimes Lao Ni listens to the roar of the machines in the factory, but his heart bleeds. He knows that production is losing money every day, and he must produce. As long as you stop production for one day, rumors will fly all over the sky, saying that you can't survive, so what do? Be able to stand. You must know that the noses of those bank loan officers are sharper than dogs. As soon as there is any trouble here, they will immediately become alert and think that there is something wrong with you. Your next acceptance check with 50% deposit cannot be issued. Not counting the loan, you still owe infrastructure loans and operating loans, and others have to consider whether they need to collect the loans. How can you bear it? Therefore, Lao Ni often feels that he is trying to make a fool of himself, including constantly expanding production capacity and expanding investment, which are all puffed up. Lao Ni and his company Dahua Chemical Fiber will become the largest polyester yarn manufacturer in China this year. Being the largest has its advantages. Basically, all banks have given him the green light, offering loans of 10 to 20 million yuan. Ni can basically finish it in 2 or 3 days. No matter how swollen his face is, Lao Ni will continue to pretend to be a fat man. Anyway, as long as the cash flow continues, he is not afraid and can survive. The worst thing is to expand the credit scale every year. This year, it will be 300 million, and next year, it will be 400 million. The bank I also hope you will expand your credit. Banks like to deal with large enterprises like them. A loan can be tens of millions to 100 million, and a branch's credit task can be completed for a year. If it is given to a small business, a loan of 100,000 or 200,000, you have to know that for the same loan, no matter the amount, the process is the same, and the labor cost invested by the bank is the same. And if it is given to small businesses, how can it be given to large companies? If you can't let it be given to the number one company in the country like Lao Ni, then who else can you give it to? But when Lao Ni saw Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan, he thought about it alone in the middle of the night and felt a little regretful. He felt that running a business was like getting on a pirate ship. It is easy for you to get up, but it is impossible to get down. So easy. Although Zhang Chen also has a clothing factory, he started by making clothing, but after it reached a certain scale, he immediately diversified his business and went into the market. Lao Ni believes that the income brought by the dynamic zone must have exceeded Zhang Chen's with income from making clothing. People have been successful in diversifying their businesses. How could it be like you, clinging to this stall all the time? Lao Ni felt that he came to Hangzhou too late. He felt that he had stayed in the small place of Qiqiao for too long. He walked around his factory every day. He felt like a king in that place. He almost didn't know it. How the outside world is changing. He felt that he could not succeed in running a business so stupidly. In running a business, one should not just do it blindly, but also do it skillfully. How to do it skillfully? Did you see that he just had a chat with Lu Ligan, listened to his advice, and made up his mind to buy the land? In more than a week, he earned money that he could not earn in a month. It's so easy and it doesn't seem to take any effort. Isn't this clever? Lao Ni called Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan and said that he would treat them to dinner in the evening. He wanted to thank them specially. He asked him to buy the land last time and now he has made a profit. He wanted to hear their opinions. What should be done next? Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen both happily accepted his invitation. The dinner in the evening was still left at Tianxiang Tower. Lu Lipol came to pick up Zhang Chen. When they arrived, Lao Ni had already arrived and was ordering with the menu. When he saw them coming in, he stood up quickly. Get up and tell them, I'm about to order, you're here, you order. Zhang Chen quickly said, Mr. Ni, just click on it, it's the same. Do you two have any taboos? Mr. Ni asked. No, I'm better than the Cantonese people. People say that the Cantonese people fly in the sky and don't eat airplanes. They have 4 legs and don't eat benches. Lu Ligan said, I am an airplane bench. As long as your chef can make it, I will eat it. Not only Lau and I, but also the waiter who ordered the dishes were amused by Lu Ligan. Lau and I said, you can eat well, and you can move only if you can eat. I see that Xiao Lu, you are busy all day, and you don't seem to be tired at all. He is crazy, Zhang Chen said. Lu Ligan said, that's right, as long as the person is not crazy, that's all. After ordering the food and ordering wine, Mr. Ni asked them what kind of wine they wanted. Lu Ligan said that when he was with Shaoxing people, of course he drank Shaoxing wine. Lao Ni said yes. He turned to the waiter and said, give us the best Huadiao wine in your store. After ordering the food and wine, Lao Ni bought the land for himself. Someone came to ask him about the purchase and told them. When Lu Ligan heard about it, he said, if you don't want to sell it, don't sell it. Lao Ni, you can develop it yourself. I just don't know what to do next, so today I want to specifically ask you, Xiao Lu, for advice. Lao Ni said. Lu Ligan and Lao Ni said that your project is not big. The best way is to short-term and quick. I told you last time that the entire project requires an investment of 20 million. In fact, it is not needed at all. You have to pay the money to buy the land. Okay, if you have another 2 to 3 million, that will be enough, no need to invest any more money. Oh, is there such a good thing? Lao Ni became interested. Lu Ligan took out a pen and paper from his bag, and said to Lao Ni, the first step is to find an architectural design institute to help you design a 6-story house. They design it very quickly and buy it from other places. Come here, the exploration and other things are also very simple. From exploration to design, everything can be done in 10 days. If they want to play tricks on you, just ignore them and give them 10 days. Tell them that if you can't do it, just find someone else to do it, and they will definitely take over. After the drawings are produced, relevant procedures must be completed. Lu Ligan then wrote the required procedures on the paper and asked Lao Ni, does this matter to you? It's just a matter of words. Lao Ni said, we have dealt with planning, urban construction, fire protection, and civil engineering so many times. They are all old friends. Lu Ligan said, we are going through the formalities here. You can let the construction company come in and start digging the foundation. Although the regulations require that all the procedures are completed before construction can start, it doesn't matter. No one will care about you. Lao Ni nodded and said yes, that's no problem. As soon as the certificate comes out and the foundation of your place has been dug, you can go to the site and set up a sales office, and then you can start selling the house. The 2 or 3 million I mentioned is just designing and applying for these certificates. If you have money for the construction company, you can drag it out if you have the ability. Next, you will have money coming in. What money are you still short of? Is it that simple? Lao Ni asked. Yes, how complicated do you think it is? Lu Ligan smiled and said, by the way, find 2 more clever little girls in your factory and send them to me. I will have them take care of them and teach them how to sell a house. That's it. Then you, Lao Ni, will wait to collect the money and pay. Lao Ni said okay, thank you Xiao Lu. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Niang. Chapter 956. In fact, the old man is not old, he is only in his early 50s. But now, more and more young people are opening companies and factories, like Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan. In comparison, Lao Ni feels that he is an old man. Especially in the past few years, from government agencies to various units, there has been a strong emphasis on rejuvenation, knowledge, and specialization, and many young people have been promoted. After several years of training, these people have now become the talkers of various units and have real power. Figure. Whether Lau Ni went to a bank or a government agency, the people who contacted him and had the final say were all in their 30s or 40s, around younger than Lau Ni, which gave him a strong feeling, that is, this era seems to belong to the next generation, that is, the generation that the song sings, the glory belongs to the new generation of the 1980s. They were all polite to Lau Ni, but there was something in this politeness, which was the respect of the younger generation for their elders. Just like tonight, the three of them were sitting together for dinner, and Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen were talking to each other. The attitude was completely different from theirs and Lau Ni's. Lau Ni could feel it. They are very casual and relaxed with each other. They can joke around randomly, but talking to him is not so casual. Although they themselves are already very big bosses, when they talk to Lau Ni, their attitude is still a bit humble, because they are all people who understand etiquette, and they are even a little reserved in front of Lau Ni. Lau Ni felt that if he got up and left at this time, they might be relieved. Lau Ni was tired from eating such a meal. In fact, Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen were also tired from eating. Although Lau Ni also tried his best to joke with them in as relaxed a tone as possible, hoping to narrow the age gap, the gap was real, and Lau Ni was not one who liked to joke. Man, the jokes he made sounded a bit stiff, the kind of jokes you would be embarrassed not to laugh at. Newspapers are talking about the generation gap. This word is invisible and intangible, but Lau Ni can actually feel it. This gave Lau Ni a sense of crisis and anxiety. He felt that even if he continued to work, he would not be able to work for a few more years. If he did not catch up, he would be in danger of being left behind. The world belongs to them and to us. Yes, but in the final analysis, it can only belong to them, and they cannot accept it. With the sense of crisis, Lau Ni became urgent. The next day, he selected two girls and sent them to Lu Ligan's company. Originally, he wanted to send Chen Yakin to Lu Ligan's company. Considering that regarding the past incident between Chen Yakin and Zhang Chen, Lau Ni thought about it and let it go. It would be better to have less to worry about than to have more to worry about. He sent two other girls there. When Chen Yakin found out, she came to Lau Ni and asked Lau Ni why he didn't send her. Lau Ni hesitated and told her that he had to send her to do more important things, not to sell the house. The house was sold one after another. Once the house was sold, the job would be gone. When the two of them arrived, Lu Ligan asked Ying Ying to arrange for them to go to the sales office of the Mies Hai project. Lu Ligan and Ying Ying said that you should take care of those who are sent by their friend's company to learn how to sell houses. Ying Ying said yes. Chen Yakin was watched by Lau Ni when she grew up. This little girl has been very smart since she was a child. She is a beauty. She has always called Lau Ni uncle. In fact, she and Lau Ni's wife are not related. Lau Ni's wife is from another village. Yes, how could there be a relationship? He and Lau Ni are somewhat related, but that is far away. When did Chen Yakin start calling old Uncle Ni and why? No one can remember, and no one cares. They just call it that. Anyway, rural people are like this. People in a village, if you really talk about it, they don't care. They are relatives, but in many cases, the names are confusing, and the farther away the relationship is, the more confusing the names are. For example, someone should call the other party sister-in-law, but they follow their own children and call the other party aunt. They keep calling each other aunt, and they just keep calling them aunt. As long as everyone understands in their hearts. After Lau Ni's company moved to Hangzhou, he also brought Chen Yakin to Hangzhou. The filthy man pestered Chen Yakin for several years, and then he finally got married. Chen Yakin was arrogant, had high self-esteem, and thought highly of her. There are very few people, and she has finally transformed herself from a little girl into an old girl. Now she is almost 30, and she is still single. But beautiful is still beautiful. The last time Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan came to their company, Chen Yakin saw Zhang Chen from a distance, but she hid in her office and didn't even come out to say hello. From Chen Yakin's office in splendid Jiangnan, you can see Zhang Chen's office. Sometimes Chen Yakin stands in front of the window and stares blankly at the dynamic zone across a canal, and unconsciously wonders what Zhang Chen is doing now. She knew Zhang Chen's office, which was upstairs in the dynamic zone. She even guessed which office his was in. Sometimes when the lights were on in the office opposite and the curtains were not drawn, she even saw Zhang Chen walk around the office. Sometimes, she would see Zhang Chen standing in front of the window and looking over. Chen Yakin suddenly felt panicked and her heart was beating wildly. She felt that Zhang Chen was also looking at her. But she calmed down immediately and let out a long sigh. She felt that this was impossible. It was impossible before, and it is even more impossible now. The gap between her and Zhang Chen was getting farther and farther. This distance, not only because Zhang Chen is now the big boss. Chen Yakin is very confident on this point, that is, she feels that even if Zhang Chen is the big boss now, he will still be the same Zhang Chen. He will not be the kind of person who is arrogant when he has money. That day if she goes out and Zhang Chen sees her, he will definitely smile and say to her, "Chen Yakin, hello." When he smiles, he is really pretty. It was completely dark outside. The row of office buildings collapsed in the canal in front of them, as if they were broken. 1/3 of the windows were still lit, like bullet holes that had been punched through. Flashing in the water. On the North Ring Road on the other side of the river, tonight, for some reason, the street lights have been darkened. Cars are passing by, their headlights piercing the dark night, as if someone has torn apart a piece of cloth with a hiss, leaking out. He blocked the light behind the cloth and quickly covered it again. The lights in Zhang Chen's office were still on. There seemed to be 2 girls in his office. They were looking at a painting and put it on the wall. Zhang Chen and the 2 girls stood there, looking at the painting. While talking, Chen Yakin couldn't see clearly what was painted on the painting, but she knew it was a painting. Chen Yakin couldn't see the faces of the 2 girls clearly, and wondered whether they were pretty. In fact, she couldn't see Zhang Chen's face clearly, but she could imagine it and felt that she could see his face. Chen Yakin really hopes that she is one of those 2 girls now. Chen Yakin stood in the dark. The door behind her opened and Lao Ni walked in. Lao Ni saw Chen Yakin standing in front of the window without turning on the light. The office was dark. Lao Ni didn't care. He was used to Chen Yakin's behavior. It was like this in Kikiao, but Chen Yakin was still like this here. She liked to wait for him in the dark. Sometimes Lao Ni would wonder, is this the case? Chen Yakin will forget the age gap between her and him. Lao Ni walked over and hugged Chen Yakin from behind. Chen Yakin struggled a little, and Lao Ni said, "It's okay, everyone is gone." When Lao Ni said this, Chen Yakin couldn't make any more money and let him hold her. Lao Ni's hands were moving wildly. Chen Yakin saw Zhang Chen's office opposite. The 2 girls had left. Zhang Chen was standing in front of the window alone, looking over. Chen Yakin heard a heavy sigh in her heart. She felt that she and Zhang Chen were getting farther and farther away, and tears blurred her eyes. Zhang Chen turned around in front of the window and looked at the painting against the wall again. This was just sent over by Yao Fen and Zhao Xian. This is the work of a BPIO painter who lived in the old summer palace in Beijing. Zhao Xian went to when I was walking around the old summer palace, I saw several paintings at the door of a house. Zhao Xian was attracted by the painting, walked over to take a look, and communicated with the painter who came out of the house. He felt that this guy's words were a bit confusing. At first glance, he sounded like someone who likes to play tricks and use new terms. Such people basically I'm almost suffocated, I can't hold it any longer, and I'm eager to express myself when I see people. Zhao Xian felt a little disgusted, so she walked away. After walking away, she walked around the old summer palace painter's village with this painting in her mind. She came back again, bought it for 500 yuan, and took it back to Hangzhou City. After looking at it, Yao Fen felt that although the brushwork was a bit crude and the basic painting skills were not solid enough, the painting was very personal, so the two of them brought it over to show it to Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen liked it at first sight. He felt that the painting was highly general and its symbolic meaning was obvious. There is a person in the picture, spreading his hands, making a movement similar to that of Huang Fiheng, shirtless, with a disproportionately large head, and a small crew cut, and even more disproportionate than the head, with a wide grin. He has a big mouth, a big smile, his eyes are closed, and his face is full of confidence. His whole body is as red as a cooked crab, and he looks like a plastic man. This kind of self-confidence is pale, the laughter is empty, the eyes are closed tightly, rejecting the outside world, and looking like an egocentric person who is addicted to his own world. Zhang Chen saw a kind of absurdity and comedy in this painting. The conveying of this emotion is exaggerated, direct, and has the power to pierce people's hearts. Zhao Xian and Zhang Chen said that this is actually a self-portrait, which is what the artist himself looks like. Zhang Chen doesn't care what the painter himself looks like. What interests him is that this image brings him a new experience. Looking at such a painting, Zhang Chen has a strong feeling that it seems to be rushing towards you. You don't even have time to think about what's coming at you, the sensory stimulation is already there. Even if you don't accept it, you have to accept it. This is probably the reason why Zhao Xian walked around the old summer palace and couldn't get this image out of her mind. Zhang Chen asked Zhao Xian, how many paintings did he draw in this series? Zhao Xian said, there seemed to be more than a dozen paintings. I saw them all displayed in his studio. Not sold? Zhang Chen asked. No one wants it at all. Then you go and buy them all, Zhang Chen said. By the way, the price is a little higher, and people have to pay rent and eat. After Yao Fen and Zhao Xian left, Zhang Chen stood in front of the window and looked outside. The street lights on Huanchen North Road were all dark tonight for some unknown reason. He looked at the splendid Jiangnan across the canal, and looked at their windows, which were also extinguished one by one. In his mind, the man with his eyes closed and a wide grin always flashed. Behind that empty laugh was actually not only the shallowness of people, but also the shallowness and hypocrisy of this society. Thank you to Dal Tin Soldier and RIRI Shushu for the reward. Thank you Niu Jiaodo, Qianbo, and Book Friends 20180720125920875 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Happy Sunday everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 957. The first, second, and third floors of Lu Ligan's splendid Jiangnan building were bought by a securities company. The first floor faces Zhongshan North Road and is the securities trading hall. The second floor is the securities company's office. The third floor is below the securities company is the office of a futures company. Ren Rongrong, a salesperson at a futures company, has been keeping an eye on Lao Ni and his friends upstairs at the Hangcheng branch of Shaoxing Dehua Chemical Fiber Co., Limited since the day they moved in. Because the renovation project of the securities company is relatively large, especially the installation of a large display screen on the first floor, the entire construction period will be longer. In addition, the place they originally rented has not yet expired. The securities company is better than Lao Ni and the others. I moved in more than 3 months late. When Ren Rongrong first came to Lao Ni's company, Lao Ni was not there, but she got an important message, that is, although this is the Hangzhou branch of Dehua Chemical Fiber Co., Limited, the boss of Dehua Chemical Fiber, Spent most of the time here. Who in the futures business doesn't know about the chemical fiber? When Ren Rongrong came here for the second time, he met Lao Ni. Lao Ni was in a good mood at that time. For his Shaoxing real estate project, he did it as Lu Ligan said. It took a month and the foundation was still being laid on the construction site. The market has already opened, with an opening price of 1,280 yuan. As a result, more than 8 million yuan was made in sales on the first day, and he got back all the money he invested in the early stage. Lao Ni sat there, politely letting Ren Rongrong finish her words, and politely seeing her off. He heard nothing clearly and had no idea what she was talking about. While listening to her words, Lao Ni was thinking in his heart. When calculating the accounts, if this project in Shaoxing is sold out, he can make a profit of 20 million yuan. Haha, Lao Ni thinks that this is too profitable. Ren Rongrong is a person who is very observant. She looked at Mr. Ni and nodded his head, but actually looked absent-minded. She knew that he didn't listen to anything. It was impossible to move him today. The most she could do was look familiar. But in the middle of their conversation, Ren Rongrong saw a woman of similar age walking in. She noticed that Mr. Ni looked at her a little differently, and Ren Rongrong understood in her heart. Ren Rongrong is 28 years old and single, but she is not simple, especially when they are doing business. It can be said that she is wallowing in men every day. She knows what men are like, and she is not interested in an old man like Mr. Ni. And my heart is clear. After Ren Rongrong came out of Mr. Ni's place, she went to the woman's office. She saw that there was nothing written on her office door, but the office opposite had a door sign of Office Director. She knocked on the door and went in. She saw the woman was in an office alone, which made her more certain of her suspicions. In an office building, it is not easy to have a separate office. Especially, there is no title on the door of this office. Chen Yakin stood at the door. When she saw the woman who had just been sitting in Lao Ni's office, she came to her and felt a little confused, wondering what she did. Ren Rongrong smiled and said, "I'm from the futures company downstairs. I have something to do with Mr. Ni. I just saw you in his office and thought you looked familiar, so I came over to have a look." Chen Yakin nodded and let Ren Rongrong in. After Ren Rongrong sat down, she asked Chen Yakin, "Are you a graduate of Jinjinj Middle School?" Chen Yakin shook her head and said no. "It's impossible. You are so similar to my junior high school classmate. They are exactly the same and both are so beautiful. Is your surname Huang?" Chen Yakin smiled and said, "My surname is not Huang, nor am I a graduate of Jinjinj Middle School. I am from Shaoxing and I don't even know where Jinjinj is." "Hi, Jinjinj is Linan," Ren Rongrong said. Chen Yakin smiled and said, "I have never been to Linan." Ren Rongrong sighed in disappointment and kept shaking his head. He thought it was incredible. The two of you look so much alike. In fact, Ren Rongrong's story is all nonsense. She herself did not graduate from Jinjinj Middle School, but from Yujian Middle School. How could she have a junior high school classmate named Huang from Jinjinj Middle School? By the way, you were in school when you were studying. Were you the school beauty? You must be right, that classmate of mine was, Ren Rongrong shouted. Chen Yakin smiled and did not answer, but Ren Rongrong was right. When she was studying, she was indeed the school beauty. Although the other party recognized the wrong person and came in a little recklessly, Chen Yakin had a good impression of Ren Rongrong. Besides, she was sitting alone in the office and had nothing to do. Moreover, she was still sulking in her heart because Lao Ni and others he was going back to Qiqiao soon. He said that his grandson was celebrating his birthday today and he wanted to leave her alone in Hangzhou. The two were chatting, and soon it was time to get off work. Ren Rongrong asked Chen Yakin, "Do you have anything to do tonight?" Chen Yakin said, "What will happen to a person? I'm alone, and I have nothing to do. Ren Rong Rong shouted, then let's go have dinner together, and after that, can we go shopping together? Chen Yakin said yes. From that day on, the two of them became good friends who talked about almost everything. As long as Chen Yakin was still in Hangzhou and Lao Ni was not around, they would have dinner together. Sometimes, Chen Yakin would even sleep in the went to Ren Rongrong's place. When Ren Rongrong saw Lao Ni again, it was not Lao Ni she went to see, nor in the office, but when Chen Yakin celebrated her birthday. In Zhang Shenji's box, Lao Ni invited Chen Yakin to dinner. Chen Yakin said that he would bring a little sister with him. Lao Ni agreed. When they met, it turned out that they were acquaintances. They were from the futures company downstairs. They came to see me once, but they didn't meet again. They probably didn't mean to get their business, so Lao Ni felt relieved and didn't bother to ask. How did Chen Yakin and her meet? It was so normal for girls in the same building to get to know each other while going up and down the elevator every day. The three of them started drinking and eating. Chatting was inevitable during drinking and eating. In other aspects, Lao Ni really had nothing in common with them, so naturally they started chatting about each other's work. He asked Ren Rongrong what their futures company did, and Ren Rongrong told him what it did. Lao Ni understood and felt that it had nothing to do with him. Ren Rongrong said that what they did was corn and soybean meal. Ah, copper, rubber, these things are things that cannot be compared with my 8 poles. No wonder she came to see him once and never came again. Ren Rongrong asked about the situation of Lao Ni's company. Lao Ni became excited after talking about this, so he told her about the situation of his company. Ren Rongrong asked them how much polyester yarn can be produced by 1 ton of PTA, and asked PTA. He asked about the price of polyester yarn, nodded and said, "No wonder Mr. Ni is so wealthy, it turns out that making polyester yarn is so profitable." Lao Ni couldn't laugh or cry, and said, "What is easy to make, people can make more money by doing real estate. A factory like ours is almost like working as a coolie. How much profit is there? Just ask Yakin." Chen Yakin nodded. Ren Rongrong said innocently, "The price difference here is not small, how come there is no money to be made?" Mr. Ni calculated the production costs for her item by item, and also told her what troubled him the most, the rising and falling prices of raw materials. Actually, this matter can be easily solved. "Mr. Ni, you just didn't do anything," Ren Rongrong said. "What can be easily solved?" Lao Ni asked curiously. "The prices of raw materials are rising and falling. This can be controlled. Mr. Ni, your production costs can be locked in." Lao Ni laughed, "I have such great ability, can I still control the price of raw materials? I am not the country, even the country, there is no way to control the rise and fall of the price of raw materials, right?" "There is a way," Ren Rongrong said, "just use hedging." "What method do you think we should use?" Mr. Ni became interested. "For hedging, can't you buy long and sell short in futures? Combine it with your spot. When you buy the spot, you can do the reverse operation in the futures market. In this way, you will lose money in the spot market due to the price increase. You can make money back by shorting in the futures market, and vice versa, so won't your total costs be under control? Come on, tell me, Xiao Ren, please make it clearer," Lao Ni shouted. "Isn't your main raw material PTA, and the main raw material of PTA, is PX?" Lao Ni nodded. "If the price of PX goes up, will PTA go up immediately? If PX goes down, will PTA go down immediately?" "Yes, that's it." Ren Rongrong said, "So the two of them are closely related. As long as you keep an eye on the PX of South Korea and Taiwan in the external futures market, you can achieve the purpose of hedging." Ren Rongrong then told Lao Ni in detail how to operate this hedging. Lao Ni understood it clearly. He felt that according to Ren Rongrong's method, he could really control the rise and fall of raw materials and bring benefits to himself. Come risk. Can't this be done in China? Lao Ni asked. Ren Rongrong shook her head and said, there is no PX product in the domestic futures market, and PTA has not yet been listed. In fact, it is the same, except that you need to open an account in Hong Kong. Moreover, the leverage of the external market can be higher than that of the internal market. After opening an account, it is also very convenient. Yes, you just need to call the traders in Hong Kong to instruct the traders to buy and sell. It's almost the same as in China. By the way, Xiao Ren, what did you mean by lever just now? Lao Ni asked. It's the margin ratio. In the domestic futures market, the leverage is generally 5 to 10 times, while abroad it can be 20 or 30 times. That is, in China, 1 million you can use as 5 million and 10 million, and abroad, you can use it as 510 million, 23 million for it. Lao Ni nodded. He thought for a while and asked, Xiao Ren, how much money do you earn per month in the company now? I mean all the income. Ren Rongrong said, on average, it's about more than 800 per month. I'll give you 2,000 a month. How about you resign tomorrow and come to my company? Just do this with Yakin. You too can open an account in Hong Kong. Ren Rongrong felt ecstatic in her heart, but she was still hesitant on the surface. Chen Yakin hugged her and said, come on, let's do it together. Thank you book friend 2019041215483620 third from top to bottom for the reward. Thank you to book friend 2019041215483620 sweet dreams leave one to sleep, Kingbo, and book friend 201901042017583118 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all a happy life. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 958. Ren Rongrong went to Mr. Ni's company, but she also opened an account at her original futures company. Then Ren Rongrong and Chen Yakin went to Hong Kong to open an account together. After opening the account, they had to remit money to the account in Hong Kong. Ren Rongrong had this underground channel, but felt that the handling fee they charged was too high, so he asked Lao Ni if there was any way. A company as big as yours should have offshore accounts. What? No, Ren Rongrong was surprised. Lao Ni said, we don't do export sales, so why do we need offshore accounts? Lao Ni still went to Lu Ligan, and Lu Ligan helped him. He remitted 20 million yuan from China to the domestic account designated by MSCAI and the others. MSCAI arranged for the equivalent amount of Hong Kong dollars to be remitted to their Hong Kong account. It's done. Lao Ni established a financial business department under his company, with Ren Rongrong as the manager and Chen Yakin as the deputy manager, but in reality this department only consisted of the two of them. Lao Ni listened to Ren Rongrong and put 10 million into their domestic margin account. Ren Rongrong said that he could do arbitrage or hedging on related products. What makes Lao Ni happy is that with specific things to do, Chen Yakin's temper seems to be much better than before. She is no longer inexplicably irritable, and she no longer sits there with tears suddenly falling, which makes Lao Ni was at a loss. Now, she is very busy every day. During the day and night, whenever she has time, she keeps an eye on the market, or reads a book, or talks on the phone with the people in Hong Kong to discuss issues, or she and Ren Rongrong draw candle charts on the wall. Every day's market prices are marked. Ren Rongrong and Chen Yakin now share an office. When Lao Ni has nothing to do, he will go to their office. Ren Rongrong seems to be well aware of the relationship between Lao Ni and Chen Yakin. When the door is closed, Lao Ni sometimes plays tricks on Chen Yakin. Ren Rongrong pretended not to see it. Chen Yakin seemed to be risking everything, and was no longer as coy as before. Sometimes when the two of them move too much, Ren Rongrong simply stands up, walks out, and goes to the first floor for a cup of coffee, or to the third floor to chat with her old colleagues. This financial business department is a forbidden area for other people in the company. Lao Ni has ordered that no one else, including the general manager of the branch, is allowed to enter this office. They are too lazy to come in, it has nothing to do with their business, and they don't know what the financial business department does specifically, but with the word finance, it probably means something related to money, something related to money. No one else is allowed in, everyone thinks it's normal. After working for more than a month, Mr. Ni took a look and found that they lost more than 3 million yuan on spot prices due to the increase in raw material prices, but made more than 2.8 million yuan on futures prices, although the difference was still hundreds of thousands. But Lao Ni was very satisfied with the result. He felt that the purpose of hedging mentioned by Ren Rongrong was achieved. Otherwise, his loss would not be hundreds of thousands, but more than 2.8 million. After first seeing results, Mr. Ni felt that another door had opened in front of him. There were so many ways to make money. He had never thought before that while he was immersed in production, there were actually many ways to make money that he could take together. At this time, Lao Ni felt that he had made the right decision to come to Hangzhou. If he hadn't come, how would he have known this in Qiqiao? Hangzhou, it's really late. That Xiao Lu, if he didn't go to Hainan and stayed in the ravine in Yongcheng, didn't go out of the mountains and see the outside world, even if he lost naked in Hainan, it would have opened his eyes. Without this experience, how could he be so prosperous after returning to Hangzhou? After winning the first battle, Lao Ni trusted Ren Rongrong more and let go more. Why not let go? She also had Chen Yakin beside her. Chen Yakin was his. If he didn't even believe in Chen Yakin, then no one could. Believed. The same goes for Ren Rongrong and Chen Yakin. They were careful at the beginning, with the purpose of arbitrage. After they succeeded every time, they let go. Hong Kong accounts do not necessarily only deal with PX, but also other varieties. Domestic accounts do everything. Sometimes Ren Rongrong also uses the external market and the internal market to do hedging. When buying London copper, he sells Shanghai copper. With a time difference, the East loses and the West earns back. The West loses money to the East and earns back, doing hedging. Although the profit is smaller, the risk is also reduced a lot. Moreover, by combining internal and external markets, there are more profit points than hedging in a single market. For Chen Yakin, it was even more exciting. It turned out that in this world, there really was a business where you could make money while sitting in the office without leaving home. This also opened up a new world for her. The most important thing is that the financial market changes complicatedly every day, and it seems quiet on the surface. In fact, the battle on the market is more cruel than a real war. After Chen Yakin experiences these every day, she feels that her little emotions some of her inner struggles seem to become trivial, and she felt that she had become stronger. The sales of Lao Ni's real estate project are very good. The shops on the first floor have long been sold out, and the houses have been sold by 60 to 70%. Lao Ni is talking about the second piece of land again. This time he does not need to consult Lu anymore. The pole was set up. After doing it once, Lao Ni felt confident. He didn't dare to come to Hangzhou to do real estate. There were too many departments involved in real estate and the water was too deep. Lao Ni, always looked down upon him in Hangzhou, so he couldn't just rely on Lu Ligan for everything. But in Shaoxing, it's different. The relationship that Lao Ni, has built over the years in Shaoxing, can be said to be connected. Shaoxing is his root. When it comes to real estate, he still wants to take root in Shaoxing. Moreover, Hangcheng is now in such a state that even Lu Ligan feels that it is getting more and more difficult to get the land. There are too many monsters and ghosts. How dare Lao Ni fight with them? Lao Ni doesn't have much funds. Like Lu Ligan, he wants to do big projects and real estate. He still sticks to small projects and does them quickly, which is in line with his character. If like Lu Ligan, a project can be completed for 5 or 6 years, then Lao Ni feels that during these 5 or 6 years, he will not be able to sleep well, and his food will not be delicious. It is not cost effective. It is really not cost effective for us elderly people. It is better to live a peaceful life. You young people should go through the storms. Zhao Xian sent back the batch of paintings from Beijing. After Zhang Chen looked at them, he only picked one and hung it up on their first floor. The others were put into the vault. Zhang Chen felt that it was the same as the others. Compared with other paintings in their oil painting studio, the level of this batch of paintings is still a bit lower. The basic skills are too poor, or the ability is too poor. The advantages and disadvantages of this batch of works are so obvious, just like a woman standing in front of you. Her face is really beautiful and impresses you, but she is only over 1.30 meters tall. You will remember her face, but it's impossible not to care about her height. Zhang Chen feels that this painter is very sensitive and can feel things that others cannot, but it is a pity that he often does not have the ability to express this sensitivity through his brushes. Mao Yan is also very sensitive, but he just has it. He has the ability to express his sensitivity. Looking at his paintings, you will get lost in his brush strokes. It is really a pleasure. Painting is a craft. As long as it is a craft, there is one thing in common, that is, your craft must be exquisite enough to be able to do the job well. Otherwise, no matter how many ideas you have, they are just ideas and craftsmanship. If it's not enough, no matter how good your idea is, it will only turn out to be a bunch of shoddy products, and you can't deceive people. Being a painter does not depend on how deeply you think, nor how well you talk. You can think and talk, and you can pretend to be a ghost, but when you take things out, the secret will be revealed. Whether it's abstract or concrete, are you sensitive to color? How well do you grasp the rhythm of your painting? Including your brush, can it be like a breeze when it's light and like a pickaxe when it's strong? Use the pickaxe to dig deeper into the painting, and the painting will speak for itself. A painter who talks all day long makes himself incomprehensible and thinks he is like a philosopher. This does not raise your level. Zhang Chen feels that it lowers your level. How many people in this world can make something out of nothing? Only artists can. Philosophers can only explain a world, but artists have the ability to create a world. Creating something out of nothing is the ability that only God has. You gave up your ability to create the world and went to explain the world. Are you going to descend to the human world? Zhao Xian also brought back a painting from Beijing this time. Zhang Chen took a look and saw that it was painted by a man named Zheng Fanzi. Zhao Xian asked, "Can you hang this out?" Zhang Chen shook his head and said, "Let's put it in the warehouse first. This person seems to be a bit popular now. I was in Beijing and heard many people talking about him," Zhao Xian said. Zhang Chen and Zhao Xian said, "We don't care about this here. This person may be able to fool many laymen in the future, but he is destined to be just a second-rate person. Our oil painting studio has no such obligation and does not need to flatter anyone." "Then did I buy the wrong thing?" Zhao Xian asked. "No, our oil painting museum has excellent preservation and records events. This work may be used as a symbol to record events in the future. That is, how did the entire Chinese oil painting world turn into a joke? This, I feel, has already happened. This is a trend. This person might become Uncle Fan who paints oil paintings. You all know Uncle Fan's tricks, right?" Zhao Xian and Yao Fen both nodded, and Yao Fen said, "Boss, I found a problem, can you tell me?" Zhang Chen said yes, but there was nothing else he couldn't say. I found that you were a bit mean when you commented on oil paintings, Yao Fen said. Zhang Chen thought for a moment, and it seemed that this was really the case. He laughed and said, I admire Chen Yifei very much. When he talks about his paintings in the United States, he always seems to say that this needs to be like this, and that is required by the art dealer. What he said is very true. It is not shameful to support himself by painting, and even make a lot of money. What I hate is those guys who are obviously full of the smell of copper, but still hang themselves in the air, talking about art like this and art like that. Art is your grandma. Yao Fen and Zhao Xian laughed. Thank you Lao Chantang for the tip. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 959. After the land expropriation for Lu Ligan and his city in the sky was completed, more than 120 farmers were expropriated and needed their company to arrange work. Tan Shahen let them choose. If they want to work now, they can be arranged to go to Lao Wan's construction company or the Mishaihe project department. If they find it too far and don't want to work, each person will be given 120 yuan per month. The living allowance will be provided at home, and will be arranged in batches after the Sky City is completed. Most people have chosen to receive living allowances and wait at home. The land was expropriated, a compensation was received from the town government, the work was arranged, and I changed from a farmer to a worker. Although my household registration was not transferred, it didn't matter. Anyway, now I don't need food stamps to buy rice. I have money. That's it. Now you can earn more money by playing at home every day than you earn from farming. Who wouldn't be happy about this? The families nearby whose land had not been expropriated were so envious that they died of envy. After the land acquisition was completed, it was necessary to start leveling the land. Tan Shahen simply contracted out the land leveling in each village, the burial of pipelines, and the earthwork work of digging such a large lake to 3 local villages, so that their villages could the collective also increased a large amount of income, which of course made those villages very happy. Anyway, for Tan Shahen and others, they always have to find someone to do this work. It is better to look for people from outside to do it. It is better to work with the local villagers. These tasks have no technical content. They only need Lao Wan to send a few people to guide them there. Just do whatever you want. Tan Shahen always believes that as long as everyone has a stake in one thing, there will be no conflicts. Even if there are, it will be a small conflict based on the amount of interest, and it is not that difficult to resolve. This is also the reason why Tan Shahen has always had objections to the later land acquisition and storage center. Why before there was no land acquisition and storage, there seemed to be no such big conflicts in the demolition of each of our projects. It was because between enterprises and farmers, conditions can be negotiated, and there are benefits to be given away. Your land collection and storage center takes away people's land, and wants all the benefits in one pot. You don't even leave any soup for people, and you don't give people a way out. How is that possible? Although you have a government background, you are better than ordinary people. Companies are all strong, but they can't just eat up enough people just because of that. Later, the contradictions in demolition that occurred in a concentrated and large-scale manner basically occurred after the land acquisition and storage system was implemented. This is probably the main reason. After the bulldozers rumbled in, the construction of City in the Sky officially began. In the center of Hangzhou, the telecommunications building has been demolished and the huge pit has begun to be dug. The first phase of Peach Blossom Spring has been completely sold out, and construction of the second phase has begun. Everything looked great, and the time came to July 1997. This month, the biggest event for the Chinese people was the return of Hong Kong on July 1st. The handover of Hong Kong power was broadcast on TV. The ceremony was filled with articles in newspapers, including reports on Hong Kong's return and articles about Farewell, Chris Patton. Few people noticed what happened at the same time. Even Xinwen Network only broadcast a short message with a few sentences in the back section of international news. In newspapers, only a short article from Xinhua News Agency could be seen. Short international press releases. At 4:30 a.m. on July 2, 1997, the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Thailand announced an emergency decision to abandon the fixed exchange rate system and implement a free-floating baht. The Thai baht has been pegged to the US dollar for 14 years. On that day, the exchange rate of the Thai baht against the US dollar fell by 17%, and the foreign exchange and other financial markets were in chaos. It was such a piece of news that followed the return of Hong Kong. Few people in China paid attention to it, but little did they know that this was the beginning of the Asian financial crisis that would shock the entire world. It was also the first time the Asian miracle woke up. Sky. The long-term rapid economic growth of Asian countries, the expansion of non-performing assets, improper foreign exchange policies, overly open financial markets, large amounts of foreign debt, and incompetent capital market control capabilities are all caused by Soros Fund and Tiger Fund. Under the attack of international financial giants and international hot money, it collapsed in one blow. Soon, the crisis began to spread from Thailand to other Southeast Asian countries, and from the foreign exchange market to the stock market. The Thai government surrendered to international speculators, who began to expand their gains. They then targeted the Philippine peso, Indonesian rupiah, and Malaysian ringgit. On July 9, the Malaysian stock market index fell to its lowest point in 18 months. The central banks of the Philippines, Malaysia, and other countries directly intervened in the foreign exchange market to support their currencies. On July 11, the central banks of Indonesia and the Philippines announced to expand the floating range of their currencies. By August, Malaysia gave up its efforts to defend the ringgit, and the Singapore dollar, which had always been strong, also took a hit. Although Indonesia was the last country to be affected by the contagion, it was the most severely affected. On August 13, the Indonesian Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Indonesia jointly announced that they would abandon the pegged exchange rate policy to the US dollar and implement the free floating of the Indonesian rupiah. The Indonesian rupiah fell sharply by 55%. On September 1, the Philippine stock market continued to fall, with the Philippine Composite Index breaking through the 2,000-point defense line and finally closing at 1,975.20 points, the lowest in 4 years. On September 4, the exchange rate of the Korean won against the US dollar fell to the lowest point since South Korea implemented the market average exchange rate in March 1990. The closing price was 906 won per US dollar. On October 7, the Philippine peso fell to a new historical low, and the average trading price throughout the day fell below the 35 peso mark for the first time to $1, reaching 35.573 pesos for $1. In late October 1997, international speculators moved to Hong Kong, the international financial center, targeting Hong Kong's linked exchange rate system. At the same time, the Taiwan authorities suddenly abandoned the exchange rate of the new Taiwan dollar, which depreciated by 3.46% in one day, increasing pressure on the Hong Kong dollar and the Hong Kong stock market. On October 23, Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index plummeted 1,211.47 points. October 28 was the darkest day for the world stock market that year. The US and Hong Kong stock markets both fell below historical records. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index fell 1,438 points and closed at 9,059 points. This was the lowest level for the Hang Seng Index since 1996. It fell below 10,000 points for the first time. Faced with the fierce attack by international financial speculators, the Hong Kong SAR government reiterated that it would not change the current linked exchange rate system pegged to the US dollar. The Hang Seng Index rose to reach the 10,000-point mark again. In mid-November 1997, a financial crisis also broke out in South Korea in East Asia. On the 17th, the exchange rate of the Korean won against the US dollar fell to a record high of 1008:1. On the 21st, the South Korean government had to seek help from the International Monetary Fund and temporarily controlled the crisis. But on December 13, the exchange rate of the Korean won against the US dollar dropped to 1,737.60:1. During the Asian financial crisis, the Korean banking industry suffered a record loss of 14.48 trillion won, and the economic growth rate reached 1998. Became -5.8%, the largest economic recession in the past 45 years. The entire country of South Korea is on the verge of bankruptcy. Korean people have donated their gold jewelry to help the country tide over the difficulties. The Korean won crisis also impacted the Japanese financial industry, which had large investments in South Korea. In the second half of 1997, a series of Japanese banks and securities companies went bankrupt one after another, and the Southeast Asian financial turmoil evolved into the Asian financial crisis. After the initial turmoil, the international community, led by the International Monetary Fund, began to provide a large amount of assistance to countries in crisis. China became the mainstay in insisting that the RMB not depreciate throughout the Asian financial crisis, and the financial markets of some countries began to stabilize. Governments in most crisis countries have stepped up efforts to reform their economic and financial systems. But in Indonesia, the economic crisis turned into a social and political crisis that ultimately led to Suharto's ouster and a change of government. In early 1998, Indonesia's financial crisis recurred. Facing the worst economic recession in history, the countermeasures formulated by the International Monetary Fund for Indonesia failed to achieve the expected results. On February 11, the Indonesian government announced that it would implement a linked exchange rate system that maintains a fixed exchange rate between the Indonesian rupiah and the US dollar to stabilize the Indonesian rupiah. This move was unanimously opposed by the International Monetary Fund, the United States, and Western Europe. The International Monetary Fund threatened to aid to Indonesia was withdrawn, and Indonesia fell into a major political and economic crisis. On February 16, the price of the Indonesian rupiah to the US dollar fell below 10,000:1. Affected by this, the Southeast Asian foreign exchange market was in trouble again. The Singapore dollar, Malaysian ringgit, Thai baht, Philippine peso, etc. fell one after another. Until April 8, Indonesia and the International Monetary Fund, the Southeast Asian currency market was temporarily calm after the organization reached an agreement on a new economic reform plan. The Southeast Asian financial crisis, which started in Thailand, put the Japanese economy, which is closely related to it, into trouble. The Japanese yen exchange rate fell from 115 yen to $1 at the end of June 1997 to 133 yen to $1 in early April 1998. In May and June, the yen exchange rate continued to fall, once approaching 150 yen. The yen/dollar mark. With the sharp depreciation of the Japanese yen, the international financial situation has become more uncertain, and the Asian financial crisis continues to deepen. Taking advantage of the turmoil in the US stock market and the continued decline of the Japanese yen exchange rate, international speculators, who had failed in the first battle, launched a new round of attack on Hong Kong. They took simultaneous actions in the foreign exchange market, stock market, and futures market, using financial futures means to spend 3 months. Or buying Hong Kong dollars in 6-month Hong Kong dollar futures contracts and then quickly selling them short, causing Hong Kong dollar interest rates to rise sharply and causing the Hang Seng Index to fall to more than 6,600 points. Faced with the rampant attack of international financial speculators, with the support of the central government, the Hong Kong SAR government decided to fight back and launch a financial defense war for Hong Kong. According to many later memoirs, during the entire Hong Kong financial defense war, Premier Zhu sat in Shenzhen and commanded. In August 1998, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority used the exchange fund to invest huge amounts of money in the stock and futures markets in preparation for a showdown. The 28th was the settlement day for the Hang Seng Futures Index in the Hong Kong stock market in August. The SAR government, a decisive battle broke out with the speculators. The SAR government withstood the unprecedented selling pressure from international financial speculators, resolutely bought all the stocks, and independently supported the pallet, ultimately saving the stock market, effectively safeguarding the linked exchange rate system between the Hong Kong dollar and the US dollar, and ensuring Hong Kong's economic security and stability. A month later, international speculators suffered heavy losses and were unable to realize their attempt to use Hong Kong as a super cash machine again. While international speculators failed in Hong Kong, they also suffered a disastrous defeat in Russia. The entire Asian financial crisis lasted until 1999 before it officially ended. In this crisis, China and Taiwan were less affected. These are all things for later. Liu Ligan was sitting in his office. There were more and more reports about the Asian financial crisis in the newspapers. Liu Ligan had the mentality of watching the fire from the other side and sighed in his heart. It seems that the scenery here is the best. The phone on the table rang, and Liu Ligan answered it. It was Mr. Chiao from Shenzhen Angzhen Trust. Mr. Chiao's voice sounded tired. Liu Ligan smiled and said, "Why, Mr. Chiao, did you have too much homework last night?" "Mr. Liu, I'm calling to inform you that the mortgage loan we are currently negotiating and that has not yet been dispersed must be stopped immediately." "It cannot be done," Mr. Chiao said on the phone. Liu Ligan was shocked. The mortgage loan was stopped, which meant that many buyers of the Mies Hai project had no way to buy it. It also meant that the future of his Hang Cheng Center project was uncertain, not uncertain, but simply dangerous. Liu Ligan suddenly became nervous, wondering whether the scene in Haikan would happen again. "Why, Mr. Chiao?" Liu Ligan asked anxiously. "We have no money, Mr. Liu. You also know our source of funds. It's hard to say whether Mr. Yang and others will go bankrupt." Mr. Chiao sighed. "Where is Miss Cai? Do you want me to call her?" Liu Ligan asked. Mr. Chiao was silent on the phone for a while and said, "You'd better not hit her. She's already in a state of panic." After hanging up the phone, Liu Ligan sat there blankly. Just now, he thought he was just watching the fire from the other side. Why did this phone call bring the fire to him? Thank you to Dal Tin Soldier and RIRI Shushu for the reward. Thank you for your monthly votes from Humor Tribe, Yeju, Bai, Li Yingjun, and Book Friends 20200725185530530536. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 960. Just after hanging up the phone with Mr. Chiao, the phone on the table rang again. Liu Ligan picked it up and it was Meng Ping. Meng Ping called urgently on the phone, "Zhenzi, has Mr. Chiao called you?" Liu Ligan said he was beaten. "All mortgages at your place have also stopped." Liu Ligan was right. Unfortunately, something like this happened again. Meng Ping cursed. "Lao Meng, do you have many mortgage customers there?" Liu Ligan asked. "They are basically the same. Who doesn't take out a mortgage if they have one? I don't know how many people can afford it without a mortgage," Meng Ping said. "There were 2 just now. I originally signed the agreement today, but when I heard that I couldn't if you take out a mortgage, you won't buy it?" Liu Ligan smiled bitterly and said, "My place is probably similar to your place. I haven't told the following about this news yet." After hanging up the phone, Liu Ligan immediately called Tan Shahen, Lao Tan, Fan Jiangguo, and Ying Ying. Fan Jianguo was at splendid Jiangnan, Tan Shehan and Ying Ying were at the Meishaihe sales office, and Lao Tan and Jacques were at Peach Blossom Land. On the construction site of the second phase, Lu Ligan told them that there was an emergency and he would come right away. Tan Shehan and Ying Ying were the first to arrive, and Lu Ligan told them Mr. Chiao's phone number. Both of them were shocked when they heard it, and they both knew what it meant to stop the mortgage. Ying Ying said, "In this case, sales will be greatly affected." Lu Ligan sighed and said, "This goes without saying." From the financial crisis that started in Thailand on July 2, to mid-August now, newspapers at that time were still calling it the Southeast Asian financial crisis, not the Asian financial crisis. Everyone still only knew that the crisis was still ongoing. No one can tell when it will end and what its subsequent impact will be. As for its impact on China's economy, newspapers have already issued early warnings, and the central government has also issued timely response measures, which is to further expand the domestic demand market, because our exports to Southeast Asia, Japan, and South Korea will definitely be greatly affected. For Zhejiang, what's more, Zhejiang has many foreign trade companies, and many of them mainly focus on the Japanese market. The owners and shareholders of this part of the company are Lu Ligan's customers, so for Lu Ligan and the others, it is a double blow. On the one hand, the original customers are lost, and on the other hand, because Mr. Chiao and the others have stopped the issuance of mortgage loans will inevitably lead to the loss of more customers. Tan Shehan also reads the newspaper every day. She never thought that the economic crisis in Southeast Asia in the newspaper always felt like a very distant thing. One day it would be revealed to them and it would immediately become a problem for them. "Gangzi, have you contacted Miss Cai?" Tan Shehan asked. "How is the situation with her?" "It's not good. Mr. Chiao asked me not to contact her, saying that she is also in a terrible state now," Lu Ligan said. "If that's the case, I think you should give her a call. First, let her know that her investment or loan with us is safe, so she can rest assured," Tan Shehan said. "This also allows her to concentrate on other things. Second, you have to tell her in advance that because the mortgage cannot be made, it may affect the sales of Meishaihe. In this way, we may have to make adjustments to the entire sales plan. How to adjust it will be reported to her after we have discussed it." Third. Tan Shehan thought for a moment and said, "Forget it, just tell her these two things." "What's third?" Lu Ligan asked. "There is no third one. Didn't I say only two things? What did you originally want to say is third?" Lu Ligan continued to ask. Tan Shehan rolled her eyes at him and said, "I originally wanted to ask her if she still had money. If there is no money, our entire Meishaihe River project can only be adjusted with the existing funds." "Then why don't you say it?" Tan Shehan said angrily, "If she was rich, if you said second, she would tell you that the mortgage from Mr. Chiao would not stop. Do you still need to say third? Do you think Mr. Chiao is not fighting for her funds? She also knows that when the money goes out, it just goes from her left pocket to her right pocket. If she has money, won't she do this business?" "Oh, that's right," Lu Ligan said, "I'm already stupid. Why are you panicking? It's not that bad yet," Tan Shehan scolded. "We'll talk about this later. You call first." Lu Ligan said yes and picked up the phone. From the outbreak of the crisis to the present, although the impact of the entire incident on Taiwan has been limited, it has caused heavy losses to MSCI and Fubon Financial Holdings, because many Taiwanese businessmen who invest and set up factories in Southeast Asia are their customers. These customers they closed down one after another, leaving them with huge amounts of non-performing assets. Fortunately, their investments in Taiwan and mainland China have not had a big impact. This means that they are not in immediate danger of bankruptcy like the local banks in Southeast Asia. However, life is sad enough. MSCAI deals with these every day. Thing. Thank you, Mr. Lu. You are the only call I received today that brought me good news. You can make any adjustments to the Meisi River project, MSCAI finally said to Lu Ligan. After Lu Ligan and Miss CAI finished talking on the phone, Fan Jiangguo also arrived with Han Jiaozi Lu Bang. It was Lu Ligan who asked Fan Jiangguo to come and picked him up at the Meisi River project headquarters. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, told them that Southeast Asia was really miserable this time. Several of my friends in Thailand and Indonesia were crying to death. The money they had in the bank and the local money was priced at one price a day, which was like waste paper. You can't get out even $1 of the US dollars stored in the bank. Some banks are closed and you don't even know when they will open. They don't know what to do while they are there. Lu Ligan said that we had only seen this financial crisis in textbooks when we were in school, but we never thought we would experience it ourselves. While they were talking, Lao Tan came back. Tan Shahen waited for Lao Tan to sit down, and Lu Ligan told him the matter. Lao Tan blurted out, "Wouldn't it be like Hiken?" Tan Shahen shook her head and said, "No, I have thought about it. Let's dig up our own home first so that we can be prepared." Lu Ligan said yes. Lu Bang, the founder of the Han dynasty, stood up after hearing what Tan Shahen said and was about to go out. Lu Ligan asked, "Brother Lu, what are you doing?" Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, smiled and said, "Don't you want to discuss your own company's affairs? It's not good for me to be here." Lu Ligan scolded, "There is nothing we can't let you know." Tan Shahen also said, "This also involves the Meisi River project, with Brother Lu." Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, sat down again. Tan Shahen said, "Fortunately, our Peach Blossom Land project opened early and sales were good. All the first phase was sold out, which left us with plenty of funds in our account. If we can't get mortgages in the future, it will definitely affect our sales, but the biggest impact should be on office buildings, not residential buildings. The mortgage ratio of residential buildings is much lower than that of office buildings. Isn't that right, Ying Ying?" Ying Ying is right, and some of these customers who are doing residential mortgages have the ability themselves, but they got the mortgage after hearing that they could get a mortgage. If it is the Peach Blossom Spring project, then the mortgage customers will basically be in this situation, Tan Shahen said. Therefore, the second phase of Peach Blossom Spring may be the least affected, and the Meisi River project will also be affected. For residential buildings, not office buildings, I think there will definitely be an impact, but it won't be that terrible. The biggest impact is on the center of Hangzhou and the office buildings next to it. But in the center of Hangzhou, it will take 1.5 years to reach 0 plus or minus 0. All projects will be carried out according to the original plan. Those 3 office buildings belong to the Post and Telecommunications Bureau. There is no way to do that. According to the agreement, we must deliver it to them by the end of next year, so I think we can build this one first and the other 2. When it reaches plus or minus 0, you can take out one building and put it on sale first, Ying Ying said. If the sales are good, build one first. If the sales are not good, then wait. We have to consider whether it will ruin the entire real estate, Tan Shahen said. Ignore him for now. It is still early. We will see the situation at the end of the year. Lu Ligan and Lao Tan both nodded and said yes. In this case, our 2 projects, Sky City and Hangcheng Center, can still be carried out according to the original plan, and the funds are guaranteed, Tan Shahen said. The most critical thing is the Meisi River project. We have to prepare for the worst. What plan? That is a sharp decline in sales, but no follow-up funds will come in. What we are doing now is that the projects on both sides of the river are in full bloom. If we follow the sales situation some time ago, there will be no problem, but if the sales decline is serious and subsequent funds cannot keep up, then there will be problems. So we must adjust the entire plan, that is, we must step up construction of the parts that have been sold, and narrow the front line for projects that have not yet been launched. We must change the original method of full bloom, sell one and develop one. If the sales situation is really not ideal, I'd rather wait and keep the money on my books. I agree, Lao Tan said. We can stop building high-end ones first, such as townhouses with high unit prices. We can build low-priced ones that are easier to sell first. Yes, Brother Tan's proposal is very good, Tan Shahan said. Also, in terms of sales, we can no longer make mortgages, and the difficulty may be greater than we imagined. I think we should also do this in terms of sales policies. An adjustment. It can be like this, Ying Ying said. You can't get a mortgage and require a one-time payment. It will definitely be difficult for some people who are willing to buy a house. Can we consider reinstating installment payment, so as to give them a buffer period? I think it's okay. What do you think? Tan Shahan asked Lu Ligan and Han Jiaozulu Bang, both of whom nodded. Going a step further, we can offer a 50% discount for those who make one-time payments, so there are two payment methods for customers to choose, Tan Shahan said. This is good. In this way, some customers who pay in installments may borrow money to pay the full amount for cheaper, Ying Ying said. This is also good for us. As long as the funds can be withdrawn in time, our risks can be reduced. The more funds withdrawn, the better, Tan Shahan said. I agree, Lu Ligan said. There shouldn't be any problems on our side, Han Emperor Lu Bang said. I'll call Miss CAI right away and tell her the plan. Thank you for the reward from the third one from top to bottom, 131 on the shore, and I don't even know if anyone asks. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all a happy life. Today, 0784, it is finally released. If you are interested, you can go and see it. Thank you.